Hello and welcome back to the DoneDeal YouTube channel. I'm David OC and today we're down in Junction 14 Mayfield as we're getting a little bit of a charge on the all new Mazda MX-30. So as we take the time to charge, let's talk about the looks. It looks absolutely brilliant. And what's more is this quick charge is very handy. We can get up to about 80% in
just wondering if you're going to be long on that charger.
I'm charging up, Bob, but are you here charging as well?
I need to charge as well, yeah.
That's electric car life. You're going to have to wait 10 minutes. Unfortunately, well, I need a little bit of charge.
This is about the same size as this one.
Similarly priced too, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not far off. Yeah, not far off. Let's have a dual test here while we're waiting for a charge.
We'll give it a go. All right, give me 10 minutes more though. I need the range.
10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes. So you finished charging now, Dave?
I'm fully charged. Well, 85% charged.
So you got the little battery in that.
Little battery.
I got a bigger battery in mine, so I have like 250 kilometers range.
But I've got more comfort and prestigeness.
You have. It's a much more. What price is that now?
About 32 grand.
It's similar to that thing. It's like 30, 31, 32, depending on the spec you pick. So yeah, similar.
Yeah, very similar.
I tell you what, let's go somewhere quieter and we'll test these two cars out against each other.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. I can see you slowing down on the motorway.
I know. I have to protect the range. Now, I know this one makes so much sense.
Yeah.
But I like this one.
Design-wise, like you got the doors that open backwards, you got the really cool interior, you got a really cool exterior, brilliant.
It is really.
But range-wise,
I
have 250, 300 kilometers in this. If you sit in the motorway all day, it's going to be a lot less. But if you're driving around town, you're going to go forever. Like you're charging this once a week.
Yeah, this is really only a car that you can. Let's say you're a mum or you're a dad and you can only just drive the kids to school, maybe a short commute to work. It's city living is really the answer to this.
But it drives a lot better than this.
Yeah,
the corner's a lot better than this. The interior's super.
Oh, I absolutely
super
love the
yoke.
interior.
I mean, I spoke to the chief designer of the interior and like he was talking about why the design, why it looks like that. Like you get enthused by talking to the people who actually designed it. You know, and you look at the inside of it and it's just a lovely place to sit.
Yeah.
This is much more utility.
Yeah.
I always try and compare, because people don't know what MG is, I always try and compare MG to something like a Nissan Qashqai, it's like that, or even like a Mazda CX-3.
Looks very similar to a Nissan Qashqai as well.
It's like a blend of all of the small SUVs around the market kind of fired into one car.
That's the Chinese, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. They don't really design the cars so well, they just kind of copy everybody else's design.
Yeah.
A big flaw I have with this car is this thing, the charge point.
Front mounted.
It's front, so in a front collision, if you hit something else, your charge point could get driven into the car somewhere, so you just can't charge anymore, right? That could be very expensive. But this plastic thing here is quite flimsy feeling. Yeah. And when you want to lift one of those big fast charger things in here, trying to shove it in, it's really hard to negotiate. You have to get down on your knees. It's really hard, you know.
I'm even thinking if you rear end someone as if your day is going badly enough, then you're stuck in court because you can't charge it to get home.
You can't charge up. Like if that gets, and I know it's a bit recessed, but surely if a collision happened right there and drove that backwards, it
even if they wanted to mount it here or something to have
somewhere on the side or even the back, whatever, anywhere out of the way, yeah.
The inside's pretty nice though for a Chinese.
Acceptable. This is a top spec version of it, so this is as high a spec version as you're going to get. So there's slightly different seats in this. Side supporting seats are not deadly on it. What
I really do like about both the MG and the MX-30 is the opening spec is pretty decent. They come with a lot of the bells and whistles, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all those things. You don't have to spec it in something like an Audi where you end up spending a fortune.
And hats off, MG Ireland have done a great job at launching this in Ireland, at getting it going and getting it out there. You know, it really has done a really good job of being something that you can just look at and go, that seems to be here for years. Right?
I remember when I test drove it though, there was one weird thing about it, and they prepped it very well for Ireland except for the odometer reading.
No, everything's in miles per hour, yeah. Everything's a UK.
One slight oversight.
Yeah. You're flying on the road doing 60, you go, I feel like I'm going faster than 60 kilometers an hour here. 60 miles an hour, yeah.
Absolutely.
But with your MX, that's just...
I mean, it's just stunning. It's so different. Obviously, there's got the nod to the RX-8, however...
the alloys look expensive.
They do, and the colour is absolutely lovely.
It's gorgeous, sort of slate matte grey thing.
Now, I do see one small problem, and I'll openly admit this, is when you go to buy one of these, if you're ever buying second-hand, that scares me. And kids, I don't have any, I don't think so anyway, but that would scare the life out of me.
It's also a problem if you're the driver and you got kids in the back all the time. You always have to open the front door to open the back door. There is no opening the back door.
Yeah, so it's like a 3-door car in many ways.
It is really, yeah.
But it is a cool party feature.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
But in terms of design, Mazda, I think, because like the way it's all cut
the
here,
overhang,
it's just the overhang.
Stunning.
It looks brilliant. The lights on. It looks like a real status symbol car.
It really is.
What's the range on that now?
The claimed range, Bob, it's only 200 kilometres, and being honest, I think if you're driving anywhere near the motorways, it's going to disappoint you. I think 160, 170 on a nice day is reasonable. So it is one of those cars, if you have a home charging point, you will be okay, but it's nothing like the range of this. What have you got? Mid
230 to 300, yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on how you're driving. But like that's the fearful part. So if you're going up and down the M50 every day,
this is not the car
at 100 kilometres an hour, and you're going from Swords to Sandyford, two ends of the M50, you're going to be charging that pretty much once a day, if not once every 2 days, maybe.
Yeah, and Mazda have actually said that themselves. This is primarily targeted at kind of city living, city driving, and that's the beauty of it. If you want a mile muncher, that's maybe a better choice.
And the other trick of this is that what Mazda say about the battery is that it's better for the environment because they're making smaller batteries. So there's less mining going on. There's less. I still find most of that kind of a greenwashing effect that, you know, like they're always trying to claim something is better for the environment when they're making new things. But realistically, what they're saying is most of this recycling, most of this can be recycled, and the battery is small so they don't have to do so much mining and mess around with stuff.
And it's fair because a lot of the time you're just dragging around a lot of extra battery. You might only be doing 50, 60, 70 kilometres a day tops, but the odd time you do a 200 kilometre drive.
The average European, according to the EU statistics, drives 40 kilometres a day.
It's nothing.
You could cycle 40 kilometres a day. You wouldn't even need a car for that sort of
thing. An e-bike.
Yeah, an e-bike, exactly.
And on that note,
tiny thing.
DoneDeal e-bikes are now for sale.
New range of e-bikes, go with it. But I mean, like, it's small mileage. If you're a small commute, you look at your yearly mileage and it's anywhere near 10,000 kilometres a year, that's going to be fine for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the interior is absolutely insane. In fact, I'd actually say we should do a quick run through of each of the interiors.
Yep.
But before we do, if you would like to search for any electric cars for sale on DoneDeal from over 1,000 trusted dealers nationwide, hit the link on the top right hand corner. Now, on the interior of the MX-30, this is absolutely stunning. So if we hit the push start, we have 3 screens. So the first is all of our digital display up in front of us here as the driver. This is your speed, your range, all these different things. Then on the big screen up here, it's not actually touchscreen, but it is all controlled by the swivel, and you've got your satellite navigation, your phone connects up there, your entertainment, and of course, as we said before, it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And then the third screen is all about the climate control. Now, what I really like about the climate control is it is all touchscreen. You got your heated seats, you can change the vents, but we have buttons too, and I think buttons are just nice. We really appreciate buttons nowadays because so often in things like the ID3, it gets really, really technical, and when you're driving, it can be quite distracting. Then in terms of the seat itself, really, really comfortable, and the finish in here as a whole, it's got this vegan leather finish, but it is really, really nice. And there's this cork here. Now, you've probably heard about the cork, but effectively Mazda originally created cork, and that's kind of a nod to its past. Storage wise, loads in there, big glove box, door bins, cup holders, and another bit of storage down there, which is where you actually plug in your phone for the Apple CarPlay. Now, another nod to the past is these doors, very similar to the RX-8, and they do open really, really well. The only thing I'll say is getting a child seat in there might be a little bit difficult. However, the ISOFIX points are easily accessible. As far as adults are concerned, it's a little bit tight back here, but it's not the end of the world. However, this could get dangerous. There are buttons back here to move this seat away from in front of you so that you can get in and out. But I see that as a way for kids to annoy mums and dads. So the MG on the inside is a little bit more budget conscious. So if you look around the materials that are used, it's actually good hard plastic stuff, but there is some soft elements on the top. And weirdly, kind of a strange thing, this steering wheel is actually out of a Golf GTI. So Volkswagen have sold them some extra parts as well. So you are getting stuff that actually looks okay. This one has active cruise control and has some good little trinkets on it, but it is the top spec version of the car. And starting it is just pressing a button. That's the car started as electric cars go. Touchscreen in the centre here with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It isn't the most responsive touchscreen, if I'm honest with you.
There is a lot of sweeping around and stuff you'll press and nothing really much happens to the car when you're there. There's some software updates that MG are doing that is going to solve that problem. If you buy a brand new one right now, that software issue is already fixed, but on the older ones it's still there. Also in here there is air conditioning in this one as well. It is temperature controlled to some degree, but it's quite laggy on the screen behind. And then you just have a switch in the center here for going. It's very similar to Jaguars and stuff. You have resistance on this car, so you can go into the KERS mode system, which allows you to be able to put the car into recuperation mode. So when you decelerate, the car will recoup some of the energy back into the battery. Now I find it pretty good to actually drive with one pedal. So you just put your foot on the accelerator, take your foot off the accelerator, and the car will start to brake anyway. It actually activates the brake lights on the back of the car when you're decelerating too. Also in here is a great big sunroof across the top of it here. It doesn't actually open or anything, but it's all there, full glass roof, which is quite glary during the day if you got direct sunlight, not like now where it's kind of raining outside. And the seats are okay, but there's not much comfort in those seats. Over long range, you start to compress one side of the seat. They're not very big, so if you're a big person, you're going to find this quite uncomfortable for long drives. Storage wise, all electric cars have good storage because there really isn't anything in the way. There's no gearboxes in here, there's no nothing, transmission tunnels, none of that stuff is in here. So this all here is kind of electronically redundantly controlled, and it's really, really nice. It's a nice interior. Long distance driving, this is what this car does better than the MX-30, but short distance driving, this car is actually pretty good at it. We've been using it around the town quite a lot to bring the kids to school, and you know, my wife goes to work and I used to go around the place as well, and we found it pretty good. And the range is actually fairly realistic at 230, 235 kilometers. You get more, it gets more interesting over time. Charging is simple as well. The whole car is fairly straightforward. As a value proposition, I get it. You get a lot of stuff in this car for very little money, but for a driving composition, the Mazda does a much better job at that. So the back seat's not a bad little family spot. When you're sitting in here, you will only fit two people here, 2 adults. You're not going to get a third person center to this. There is ISOFIX on both seats back here, so you can put in full-size child seats, and there is one little USB port that has a little rubber cover on it that you're definitely going to lose, but it is there. The rubber cover is going to come off, and a small little shelf. Other than that, there's not much going on back here. It's bright enough for a long journey though, particularly with the roof over the top. When this is not a glass roof, it's quite dark back here in the background, but it is an alright back seat. For family stuff, for driving around the town, you're going to find this absolutely perfect.
Boot space. Now I'm going to be honest, that's probably a weak point in the MX-30. It's smaller than the Golf.
I'm fairly confident in this one. 470 litres in here. Now, a lot of that is in little boot things that are over to one side, which are kind of useless. Like the actual space here is not as big as that, but the full size is 470 litres. 470
litres. I'm closer to about 350, 360. And I've no spare wheel. I'm not sure about you.
No, this is slightly bigger than the petrol one. I have no spare wheel either. Same thing, it's just a load of cables underneath there for charging the car.
So that's the thing now. The cables for me, they don't actually, I can't slide them under there, so they kind of just float around the boot in general.
Mine has a huge big hole in here with charging things, all sorts of stuff is in, all your cables in there. But I do find this very low. So if you're tall like me, you're definitely not able to stand up straight underneath this thing.
Never had that problem, Bob. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it's a boot. You can only talk about it so much. It's pretty functional. There's a little bit of storage here. You can have a little bit of kind of things there, but you really won't fit your charging cable. So it is fairly basic, and it's not the biggest, but overall it will fit buggies and things like that.
This you get the prams in. There's plenty of space either side, but things will roll off the side of this down into little cubby holes on either side. So it is a bit awkward in places, but it's plenty big, yeah.
Oh.
Neither are electric, I noticed.
Yeah, I know, neither. Gone are those days.
So MG, when they're ready to drive, are actually okay. Great for gathering around town. They're actually fine and solid on a motorway as well. But where you can feel the kind of weaker feel to suspension is when you start going across speed bumps or bumpy surfaces. It is very soft in this car. What I do like though is you don't have to hit the friction brakes the whole time. You can actually brake with just the accelerator pedal just by lifting off, turning on recuperation level 3, and the car's brake lights will actually come on at the back. Accelerations dealt with pretty good. All electric cars are good to accelerate because, quite simply, there isn't really a drive shaft or torque converters and all these other complicated things between the motors and the wheels. It's just basically one single shaft. It makes it really easy for the car to get going. Range wise, 2 250. I would say more like 210 to 230 is more realistic in these cars. You might be able to see it on camera when I talk about the actual suspension thing doing its thing here over bumpy surfaces. It starts to do this kind of rock and roll motion. It just comes from the way the suspension is built and the weight of the batteries underneath. This car isn't light, no electric cars are. They're all kind of heavy. You would get used to it over time, but when you're braking in this car and you take your foot off, you can actually feel the whole brake system come on. It's not, it's the recuperation system. It does get back some energy for you as well. I started this morning with 236 kilometers range when I started off. It was nearly full. When it came off the motorway to here, of 176 left, easily made the return journey, and I wanted to charge the other end either. That's the good part about the range. The problem is that you will be charging this probably once a week. It does only do about 250. You will stretch it to 300 if, and only if you're doing urban driving. I can't really fault at the price point this car other than the suspension. Range is very good, a lot more range than the MX-30, but the MX-30 has much better suspension and shock absorbers, and it feels much more comfortable to drive, and the seating is a little bit better as well. This is a value proposition. Depends on what level of value you want to go for, really. I still like the MG ZS, but I think I'd still have an MX-30.
So how does the MX-30 drive? Well, to be honest, very, very well. You do get a sense that you're in an electric car. Now, right now you might be hearing a little bit of rain. Unfortunately, the weather has taken a little bit of a turn, but generally speaking, you get a little whine out of the engine, or the electric motor, for want of a better word. And in terms of kind of creature comforts, well, you get blind spot monitoring, you also get adaptive cruise control, and this one has lane assist too. So it is very, very autonomous, I'm going to say. Now, it's nothing like a Tesla or anything like that, but the adaptive cruise control is really, really good. Then as far as the suspension and the driving experience in a true driving essence is quite good, actually. I have to say, it does really, really ride over bumps really well. Probably a little bit better than that MG ZS. When you take a turn there nice and quick, you do actually feel it's relatively planted. The low center of gravity, despite it being an SUV, is very, very good. Now, the 35.5 kilowatt battery gives you about 143 brake horsepower, and whilst that's not groundbreaking, the thing about electronic cars or electric cars is that when you put your foot down, you have 143 brake horsepower the whole time. It doesn't just die when you need to change gear. There's no rev band that it has to meet. It's just constant. Now, the good thing about the MX-30 is that you can't actually lose your license in it, because the top speed is 140 kilometers per hour. So worst case scenario, you'll just get a few penalty points. As with all electric cars, charge time is crucial, and when we were at junction 14 earlier on today, we said that you can get a quick charge, about 80% charge, in 30 to 40 minutes. Now, I'm going to assume that you have a home charger if you buy an MX-30, because you're going to need one with that shorter range. And with that, you can get a full charge in about 6 or 7 hours. So it's actually reasonably quick, to be fair. And that's the benefit of having a smaller charge, or a smaller battery rather, is that you can charge it a lot quicker. And yeah, that aside, everything in this is really, really nice. You have these flappy paddles right here, which increase your regenerative braking. If you don't know what regenerative braking is, hit the link up there to our Electric Car 101 video. It explains everything. But in here, it's a lovely place to be. You can set the air conditioning, so you've got a lovely heads-up display in front of you that shows you the speed limit, your cruise control being on. And as I said, it just glides over any bumps. In fact, the surface right now isn't great. Some of the footage we filmed was on the grass at the Curragh, and it just cruised along it very comfortably and very elegantly. All right, Bob, the MX-30, the MG ZS, what's your take?
They're so close together, right? Price-wise, so close together, and yet totally different cars.
Totally different, but both really, really good value in their own right.
They are, yeah. Do you know, I love the look of that. I really love the look of that. I love the wheels on that. I love the design. I know it's a shorter range car, and this is nearly double the range, but that's just such a good looking car.
It is. It's a tough decision. I definitely think I think if you went and test drove this, you'd fall in love with it, but it may frustrate you on a long drive. Whereas this, you probably wouldn't have that first glance kind of love at first sight, but you might enjoy it over a longer period.
Suspension is worse than this, and dampers are worse than this. So you'll feel the difference in the suspension quality between the
But it's
two
also
cars.
because this is so good. The dampening is very, very good in the
It's a lighter battery. There's so much good stuff in that car, so much good stuff in this car. They're both really good.
Yeah.
Value, there's more kit in this, but the kit is better in that, if you follow what I mean. It's a better quality kit in that stuff. God, it's very hard to pick those two.
It's a tough one. Now let us know in the comments below, but what I haven't told Bob is I took the liberty of doing a little bit of a poll on DoneDeal's Instagram today, and actually about 70% of people preferred the MX-30. Now we didn't talk about the range or anything, it was just a picture of both.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting one. But
it is, yeah.
Thank you so much to Bob for joining us today here on the DoneDeal YouTube channel. Make sure to check out his YouTube channel. He's always got up-to-date reviews. And of course, subscribe to ours as well, as we are always bringing the most up-to-date car reviews here on the DoneDeal YouTube channel. But from now, myself and Bob, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe and we'll see you in the next video.